keeping in mind that Veterans Day was just a few days ago, up to 9%, or even more than 9%, of all Americans are either in the active military or are veterans. I have a picture right behind me of my dad. This picture is sort of special to our family because it was painted by my dad's interpreter, or one of his many interpreters while he was in Iraq. My dad served in the Army for more than 30 years, and so needless to say, I grew up in a military home. In this speech, I will convince you that growing up in a military home was a great way to grow up, or maybe even the best way to grow up. My first point: military families live in their own communities. Oftentimes, they have their own houses and they live on what they say base, military base, whatever. So, with that, in these communities, friends are made, and these communities are very tight knit communities. In these communities, you have great support systems because you have so many families going through the very same things. With that in mind, I'm going to transition to my next point. My next point is that military families make up the communities. And most military families have two-parent homes. This came from an article done by a Dr. Cleaver and a Dr. Siegel. The article was Demographics of Military Children and Families in a journal called The Future of Children. In it, they said that up to 90% or more than 90% of all children live in two-parent homes and military bases. With that in mind, children in two-parent homes, I have many articles that support that children in two-parent homes grow up better academically, better socially, better mentally, better physically, and better emotionally. And these are just five of many different categories. With that, I have written down, Dr. Fairling wrote an article in International Journal of Behavior Development. A Dr. Hoover Dempsey wrote in a Teacher College Record Journal. A Dr. Janes wrote in the Education and Urban Society Journal. A Dr. Newman wrote in the Reading Research and Instruction. A Dr. Petra Kaku wrote in Family Involvement Research Digest. All of these, among many others that I found, showed that kids that are raised in two-parent homes are a whole lot more likely to be higher academically, higher mentally prepared, higher physically prepared, higher socially and emotionally prepared. So many different other aspects as well. So, with that in mind, parents are a whole lot more involved. They have higher expectations, and whenever parents have higher expectations of kids, kids tend to do a whole lot better. And families in the military usually are more religious due to the necessity that they deal with death at all times. A father or mother might be shipped out to a war zone at any time and might be killed. So as a result, they tend to be a whole lot more religious. With that in mind, in the family is made up of many children. I grew up in a family of 7 different kids. I'm the 5th oldest, but I'm the biggest of them all. That in mind, so families are made up of children. Military bases have their own schools as a general rule. In these schools, kids learn responsibility. Kids learn their own hierarchy. Back to the step about responsibility. Oftentimes, if I got in trouble at school, the teacher would contact my dad, or actually my dad's boss. My dad's boss would chew out my dad, and then whenever I got home, I would get chewed out. So learn responsibility really fast. Kids learn a hierarchy. Basically, what they can and cannot do due to the fact that they have a certain pecking order that's just naturally occurs in being around families in the military and military having the chain of command. Kids also learn teamwork through hardship. A lot of times kids will have their dad or their mom or whatever gone to war, and oftentimes with the same common struggles, my friends and myself would all have our dads or mom or relative gone at the same time. And as a result, we learn through hardship. And oftentimes it forges lifelong friends. So, in conclusion, the three reasons that make the military brat life the best life is military communities, military families, and military kids or children, which end up being lifelong friends. In the end, I'm glad I had a childhood that I did. Um, I wouldn't have traded it for the entire world. And I just wish that more kids could live the magic that I had whenever I was growing up.